Well, vegetables play a really important part in our life. They flavour things, they're great as standalone vegetables, just amazing. And in today's video, you'll probably get an idea just what an important role they play in our lives. It's easy to forget in the bleak midwinter that these plants still need some water. I've said to you all many times that they don't need absolute soaking. That will do them no good whatsoever. But on a day like this, the sun is shining and the water will soon start to get down, and the sunshine will evaporate the rest so that they're not sitting in pools of water and rotting. These lettuces are looking absolutely amazing.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Taste good too.
They're winter density and they are Arctic King. I know, Frank, actually, that you were trying some winter density, weren't you? And you weren't too sure whether they were going to come through. So do keep us in the loop. We'd like to know how you're all getting on. Because I know many of you have a different climate to that myself and Mrs. W grow in. Let's not forget, we're in Zone 9A and we're expecting some quite cold nights as we turn into the new year. I can already see on the weather forecast. -3. That's cold, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Sorry, Frank. Positively like a heat wave for you, isn't it? Now, of course, with these being undercover, it's probably going to get down to about 0 in here, maybe -1, but it certainly won't hurt these lettuces. And they've given us some lovely, wonderful pickings over the Christmas period. All we do is just take the leaves as and when we want them, and they grow back. It's the same for the spinach. But let me tell you no more. Pictures speak louder than words. Let me take you back just a few short days. It was the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring. That's of course unless you don't count myself and Mrs. W. As you saw, a good time was had by all here in the Wilson household. We had an absolutely amazing Christmas. The only sad thing about it all, which you may have spotted if you're a regular viewer of our channel, is that young Charlie wasn't with us. Now, Charlie and his dad were really quite ill over Christmas, and they made the supreme sacrifice to not come and see us all so that we didn't all catch what they were suffering with. No matter, we're making up for it on New Year's Day, aren't we, Mrs. W?
Absolutely, yes. Can't wait.
So we'll do it all over again.
Yeah.
Now, I said earlier about how a lot of you grow in climates that are more harsh than ours. And, you know, I really do admire the way that you manage to grow your vegetables and get yourself a harvest. And of course, in some ways, it's more a question of what you can grow before the harsh weather comes, and then what you can store and then eat. The annual cutting of the central head of our Rudolph.
Oh, look at that, lovely.
Also got one on the other plant.
We have. That's looking a very, very vibrant purple, that one is, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah, I think that's because...
That's a little younger than this one, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. That one was ready a few days ago, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Superb.
So that's those two that we're going to enjoy.
Yes. I can
You're
see
going
this.
to have to go without Mrs. W.
No, one for you and one for me. You can already see the little side shoots forming in this one, can't you?
You can, yes. And they'll only promote themselves even more
Yeah, now
as
we've done that.
we've taken the central head. I was actually trying to delay taking these central heads for as long as I could, because actually we've got an absolute abundance in this winter garden. I can't believe how well myself and Mrs. W have done. We seem to have got all of the succession plantings bang on. Well, I say bang on. Actually, one didn't come quite right and let me down. It would have been my fault, of course. The triumphant cauliflowers that it's possible to get ready on Christmas Day were not. No matter, it really didn't matter. We had so many other things to eat. It really didn't matter at all. The heads are in there. And actually, it's a cauliflower that will harvest from late December and through January. And it'll be just as valuable during January to have those lovely cauliflower heads. Hence why I always say, do keep a notebook with you at all times, because myself and Mrs. W have made a record of that. And so, in 2025, I shall sow the seed 2 weeks earlier. We had the sprouts and we had, still getting broccoli, aren't we? Calabrese broccoli,
We are.
the side shoots. We had 2 other heads that we picked actually as well, didn't we?
Yes.
There's carrots, there's parsnips. There's so much to enjoy over the Christmas period that, yeah, it really didn't matter too much. Now, I did say in our last video that I would put a couple of videos out with some footage that we took earlier in the year. Apologies that you haven't seen that while you're watching this. We've had a bit of problems with the SD cards that they were recorded on, which was a real shame because it would have been an absolute amazing video, I think, and would have really shown you our no-dig garden at its best. No matter, that we shall leave until this time next year. However, we did visit the Malvern show, and I've got a few highlights from there that you can watch next. It was also a really lovely time for myself and Mrs. W. Not just the show, but we actually got to meet 2 of our viewers from this channel. Real honour for me today, because today I get to meet one of you, but not just any one of you. I get to meet Ken and Karen, keen viewers of our channel.
Nice to meet you too.
Good to meet you.
And you.
Good to meet you. Now, we've had an amazing day at the Malvern show today. We really have. All except, I forgot which gate we were meeting at. So we had to film this little bit. Actually, here where myself and Mrs. W are staying. So we're going to go off and have a lovely meal, a couple of drinks, and I'm sure Ken and Karen, you've got several questions you'd like to ask me.
I've got a few.
Like, who does all that filming when Mrs. W is cooking?
Absolutely.
What a day we had at that Malvern show. Highly recommend it. We're hoping to go back there this spring. So if any of you are going down that way, then do let us know in the comments. And who knows, we may be able to catch up with you. But it really was great seeing Ken and Karen. They've been followers of our channel for some years now, and always do leave us a lovely comment. Now, what I do want to do is to take some harvests. As I say, we're right between Christmas, which is gone, and New Year. It's not very long at all before New Year's Day will be here, and of course we need to celebrate it like kings and queens, just as we did on Boxing Day with the rest of the family, for when young Charlie comes around. And it just so happens we have some of his favourite veg about here. As I said to you earlier, still got Calabrese broccoli coming. The first three we had are really quite large heads. These are a bit smaller because they were a little bit further behind. So with the cool weather and obviously the low light levels that we have, they will not have got as big. But nevertheless, they are a welcome harvest. But then, of course, we don't really need to worry how big the harvest is, because the ones we harvested about 2 to 3 weeks ago, well, we've probably got another full head there by the time I now harvest it, Mrs. W.
Yes, yeah.
This is a variety called Marathon, and it always produces great central heads for us, but then it does do this. And the ones that we grow earlier in the year, we don't let them do that. And that's really because I need the space to get the next crop in. But any of the Calabrese broccoli that we plant after May, we do leave in the ground. And they give us weeks of harvest just like this. And it's hard to believe that actually that is a Calabrese shoot. It's not purple sprouting broccoli like you just saw me cut. They will be purple on the top. I just think it's amazing that we can keep coming out here and keep getting yourselves harvests. And this is why I say, a lot of people say to me many times that you have such a big garden. Actually, we don't have that big a garden. We may have a bigger garden than you who are currently watching. I don't know. We have 4 beds that are 12 feet by 14 feet. But if you just had one of those, or even one half the size, this is a great vegetable to put in May, June or July. Have the central heads, then it'll give you a number of weeks, probably 4 or 5, even up to 6 weeks of harvest just like this. As I said earlier, we're expecting some colder weather to what we've been used to over the Christmas period. And these young broad beans, they'll start to receive their first frost of the season. But they're a good size, they're not too big, so with this cover over them, I'm very hopeful that they will see their way through to our harvest next May. But you can see here that they're already starting to what we call tiller, and that means it's sending more shoots up. That is going to triple the harvest because we won't just have the one central shoot. Goes without saying, we had many sprouts, and actually we still do have many sprouts. So like I said, it's not been that bad a year really. We've got so much to eat, but also so much to look forward to. because there's lots of things that are in the ground or in the poly or in the greenhouse that will feed us between now and when the next lovely harvests come from our spring planted vegetables. So if you want to see how we do that, then do make sure you're subscribed to our channel. And that way you won't miss a single video that we put out. Do let us know in the comments just how your garden is at this time of the year. Would you like to do more so that you've got more to eat at the beginning part of every year, January, February and March? And lastly, a really big thank you to you all for all your comments after our last video just before Christmas. We've got a really good idea on where this channel will be going over the next year. It only remains for me to wish you all a really very happy, healthy and prosperous gardening new year. We shall see you all again on January the 6th.